Right there. Look at that right there. Look at that head shake, man. Oh, man. Dude, that's what we came up here for.
Okay, live in 3, 2, 1.
Well, sweet Hayes. Well, glad you could make some time to come back here and talk fishing with us. So you are like just eating up with fishing, right? It seems like that's all you do. A fishing bum is what you might say.
Yeah, if I could fish every day, I pretty much do. But at least, I don't know, 300 days a year out of 365-day year. So all the time. And
it's not like you're just fishing the lake in your backyard. Like you're moving around quite a bit too.
Yeah. I think like I just am fascinated with the multi-species angle of it, depending on the time of year and stuff. I mean, like where I'm going to be. Obviously, I guide on Vermilion, but once I get out of there, it's pretty much a largemouth grind for 3 weeks, and I find myself like west of the cities. I like a lot of that water down there, but yeah, I wish I could live 5 different places at once, but just living out of the back of the truck for now. So.
Well, that's super cool. Yeah. Everybody who loves fishing wants those years of just being a nomad fishing wherever the hot bite is. So how do you kind of structure your year then on making decisions on where you're going to fish? Obviously, you're guiding to make up some of that income. So give us a rundown of your season typically.
Usually through the ice, half of the season I spend around the metro, so like west of the metro, Minnetonka, and then the other half probably kind of traveling around. All the way we're on Lake of the Woods this year, Red. I mean, it doesn't matter. Wherever the fish are biting, I guess. In the winter, I'm a little more freed up, but come, I would say April, I'm on Tonka guiding a little bit. I got some customers on Minnetonka that I take out in the boat for crappie, and then I open on Gull Lake, and I have for 10 years in a row. And then after that, go to Vermilion, guide until October 1st, basically, and get released out of there. And then it's mostly bass fishing at that point because I've got so many walleyes that I can't handle it anymore. But yeah,
ready to mix it up. It's cool that you're taking advantage of the panfish, the walleyes, the bass, all of those things. Let's dive into Vermilion while we're on it. What brought you to Vermilion? It's a big body of water, but like it's so dense in habitat. Like everywhere there is a good looking spot.
It's amazing. Like I could catch 20 fish in a spot and be like, oh, that spot's done. You know, come back in the morning, there's 40 of them there.
That's unbelievable.
The power of like with the biomass of Lake Vermilion, right? It's like incredible. It's like, where are these fish coming from?
Yeah.
You know?
And there's all sizes too. Like there's a lot of really big fish in there too. Just awesome, just quality fish. And obviously you're getting plenty of eaters too.
Right. Yeah. And the thing about Vermilion is it's a 4-fish lake, so it isn't a 6-fish lake. And there's this protected slot, so 20 to 26 inch fish have to go back. And on the west side specifically, in June, we're going to get between 2 and 5 of those fish every day. We're catching, a 22 and a 24, whatever, sometimes overs. I recall a day on my first year I was there, we caught 5 fish over 28 inches, with the biggest being 29 and a quarter.
Jeez.
Which, it's tough to do that anywhere but Lake of the Woods, probably.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing that on Mille Lacs. There's not enough big ones in there. Winnie, no way. Leech, probably, maybe. Pod's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Leech, but...
Yeah, super rare.
Yeah, Vermilion's got to be, like, top 5 walleye lakes in the state, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just, maybe Gull Lake's like number 1, number 2 to me.
The backyard.
The backyard,
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Do you have, like, as the season progresses up there, walleye fishing wise, do you see like a movement of fish through the fishery, or is there, just certain zones that you key on?
Ultimately, what I've learned is, when I'm there in May and June, for the most part, I spend on the west side. I like that in the spring because there's a lot of really good, shallow water habitat. There's good weed beds up there. Like on the east side of the lake, you don't see as good of weed bed. That's probably the most underutilized for anybody listening. Bite out there is, the weeds. Fish them. You can fish them all year long, but the spring, specifically in June.
So the whole weed thing, it's interesting to me that, when I was younger, walleyes were rocks, gravel flats, like and obviously people knew there was fish in the weeds in a lot of these, but today it's common knowledge that walleyes use weeds.
I got to use Brainerd as an example, I guess. I grew up like around here fishing. This is like where I learned to walleye fish, and it was always around weeds, I guess. But now we've kind of figured out different ways to fish, and obviously the technology has changed, and it's easier to find fish than it ever was before. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, in a sense, has exposed these fish that, somewhat weren't getting fished for as much.
How do you approach weed fishing with customers? Like, what's your go-to approach if you're taking somebody who's not a really experienced angler to target walleyes in weed beds?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of slip bobber fishing. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons for that is, I learned this around here, but like if you're slip bobber fishing with a leech, you're not only going to catch walleyes, but you're going to catch bluegills, bass, everything. And when you're guiding, a lot of folks, we're going to catch walleyes, but we're going to catch, they're going to be happy with catching bass and bluegills and everything. And it's very simple because I take a lot of novice anglers out. So the easiest thing to start with is a slip bobber. And the second thing would be a jig with some form of live bait. But I tend to stick to, when I'm fishing around weeds, a lot more slip bobbering. In the pockets, in the weeds, on the weed edges, stuff like that. Even the rocks, that's good too. But like slip bobber, locked in for 2 months basically.
Super deadly.
Yeah, really good with a leech. Yeah,
for
sure.
How many leeches do you go through a year if that's your program?
Yeah, I spent the first year, I figured I spent around $3,500 on leeches. And then it kind of switched to crawlers last year. I bought 9 flats of crawlers, so 4,500 crawlers, thousands of dollars on live bait.
So when you're taking customers out, what is their metric of success? Is it getting a limit? Is it catching fish? How often are you harvesting fish versus catch and release fishing?
Yeah, it depends. I would say like 85% of the time we're harvesting fish. And I think a lot, we're selling the fish fry. That's really what we're selling, right? And so it's the eater size fish, 12, 13 to 18 inches. Obviously you can't keep them over 20 there. So, but then I get, some bass trips, which are most of the time catch and release. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of small bass in Vermilion. And so sometimes I keep some smaller bass, which, I think should be a norm, but like, it's like still maybe like in the bass world, like frowned upon.
Yeah, Mike Hainer would not frown upon you,
right.
Mike, would you?
No, small bass eat very well.
Yeah, it's his favorite food for
black
sure.
And bass.
So, yeah, black and bass.
So a couple, like I would say for the most part, it's kind of measured on, unfortunately, how many can you kill at the end of the day. But I've gone out on the west side of the lake in June, and we've caught 15 walleyes in a day and been able to keep one because they're all 23, 25, 20 and a half, 22, and it's like, what an incredible day.
Yeah.
My customers are not pleased.
Because they want the fish
eaters.
fry.
And so it's like, okay, so then I kind of transition. This will come into more where I get into July and August, where I get over towards the center of the lake and even the east side. You can get lost back there pretty quick, or get away from people back there pretty quick.
Sure.
And there's a lot of eater-sized fish up there too.
Mm-hmm.
Not as many big ones as like the west side, in my opinion. And so that's where I'm kind of transitioning in July and August. I think some of the most excellent smallmouth fishing on the lake is over on that end, for sure.
A lot of rock. So speaking of people wanting fish for the fish fry, how many walleyes did you keep on Vermilion? Or you're keeping track of that? I saw your journal there. So
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, first year was like around 1,000, and then last year was around like 1,200.
Man.
Yeah, that we filleted, which equates, if we take, 1,000 divided by 160 some odd guide trips that I took. I don't know what that boils down to, but 8 or 9 fish a trip, basically.
And you've got other buddies who keep track of this, which I guess I think it's interesting to know that you guys are keeping track.
Yep.
So, and I don't know how we segue this conversation into your love of the history of the old guides.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Your new crew
Right.
of guides and how you're keeping score.
It sounds bad, right? It's like we killed 1,000 fish, but what people don't realize is what was it like in 1950s, 60s, 70s? They killed everything. The muskie rampage. You're a muskie guy, right? You remember the wheelbarrows of like dead musk? Like, what is that about? You know, I mean, we've come a long way, obviously, but I mean, holy cow. Yeah, I'm not like proud of it by any means, but we keep track, and they kept track back in the old days too. So.
Yeah. Well, tell us some of the old stories.
What my favorite is about Harry Van Dorn. He was a guide around, one of the original Nisswa guides around Brainerd here, and this is out of classic Minnesota fishing stories. What was the guy's last name? Billy, what was it? Feligy, right? Yeah, he wrote the book and was like recalling Harry's best summer on Gull. So he was guiding out of McMaster's Resort. Not exactly sure where that is because it's obviously gone now. See if I can find it here. I wrote it down. And so this was 1954, and that summer he killed around 2,300 walleyes on Gull Lake. And there's a story in there. I'm just quickly sum it up, but he took 3 ladies from Iowa to Sandy Beach Resort on Gull, and they were nailing the fish and throwing them in the bottom of the boat, as they were catching them. And at the end of the day, they weighed their best 10, and their best 10 weighed 97 pounds. There was a couple of 12-pounders in that stringer.
Jeez.
What if you did that today? Well, you can't do that today, but
yeah.
I mean, look. I mean, that's just one story from that book, but yeah, just incredible. Some of the harvests back in the day, some of the old, even the shots from like the 1800s, with these guys on with 1,000. It looked like 1,000 fish on stringers sitting on the back of a train, right? I mean, that's the old school harvest, So regardless, I mean, we've come a long way. Right?
Yeah, and
Don't you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, and you think about what those guys had in 1954 to go out and catch.
Not
that
much
many fish,
Not much.
like
how good was it?
Right, really.
Let's transport back to the 50s
Yeah.
and
See
with our
what's
live
really
scopes
there.
and see what it's like.
See what's really there.
But people were good. I mean, I would argue that maybe people were even better fishermen back then. Right?
Why do you say that?
I don't know, because they had to fish without any technology, right? How much easier is it that we have a map instead of lining up with that pine tree on shore there, or fishing without any sonar, Like, that's got to be harder, right?
Yeah.
Take it all away today. Send us out. I'm probably bass fishing every day, flipping or whatever.
Look at the shore, drift on the shoreline. Yeah.
I'm not even like messing with. I've become. It's almost like the live scope is my umbilical cord, as you would say. Like can I fish without it? Absolutely, but like I gotta have it. Like when I go fishing, it's like part of it. And so when I don't have it, I don't know. Could I catch them? Absolutely. We did two years ago. Bill and I fished a walleye league around Brainerd, and we didn't. We almost lost. What's the guy's name? Was it Jones' son? And what was the doctor's name? Billy Hightower. We were head to head with them, but we did come out at the end of the year on top in points. So we beat out everybody with side imaging. We had no forward facing sonar, but I guess it's just at the evolution of it all. I mean, I'm trying to stay in front of it is basically what I'm saying. So I won't fish without it if I have the choice.
Well, it is. I mean, that's kind of the one thing with the tech that you really hit on is that once you've used it, you've seen what it is, you've seen what it can do. It is totally the equivalent to say, hey, let's go ice fishing, and then you're not going to have a flasher. Like, you're not going ice fishing without a you gotta have a flasher. That technology just becomes so ingrained, and I mean, it's addicting. Yeah. I mean, that's just the facts, Jack. Like,
yeah. But like, I think there is something to be said about. I mean, obviously, back in the day to where we are now, the conservation has gotten a lot better. But as the technology gets, I mean, how much better can it get? I don't know. Things got to be done for sure. I mean, like, if I think about what is it going to look like in 10 years, like. This is all happening, and it's happening in like warp speed in front of our eyes, right? Like, and I take I'm a middle stance on all this. Like, I'm not for it, against it. Like, I'm going to use it.
You're saying that you just can see with your experience. You're saying that
I can see the issues with it, and I can see how it. I mean, I can see how it helps me catch fish. I guess I don't know how other people view it, but like I can see how it's issue for. Look at if I go out on Vermilion on an average day in July, it's like there's 20 boats trolling around in the middle of the lake with 2 live scopes down, just trying to catch muskies. Like, that's what it's turned into. Mm-hmm. You pay a guide $1,000 and cast 6 times in a day. That's the reality of it.
You're landing on fish
every time.
Every time.
I mean, muskies, I always thought were like, I don't know. I don't want to dive in. I don't want to offend anybody either, Like, I have middle ground on it. Like, I see the issues, but like, and if I didn't have the live scope, would I catch as many fish? I mean, I don't think so. I think it 2 times my catch.
I've heard a lot of guys say that guiding, you look at the factor of what it is. So you're a good angler to begin with.
Oh yeah, we learned to fish without.
Yeah, and so guys saying that it's probably doubling guides, really good anglers catch rates, but where the big jump is that somebody who gets their hands on this, who really necessarily wasn't a great angler, wasn't catching a lot before, now can find fish quickly. Their factor 5 times more, 10 times more, 20 times more catch rates. So you can definitely see how as that proliferates, the factors could certainly have an impact. And and obviously we don't know what that is currently, but so like talk about the ice fishing deal too, because you've got a buddy out west that does some ice fishing, keeps track of it, and
it's just easy. It's just easy. I think live scope for panfish, especially in the winter, obviously it's like really easy to find and catch fish, like more than it ever was before, right? Like instead of going through a tank of auger gas now, like trying to drill 300 holes over a basin, it's like you can basically drill one hole. Now it's not always like that. I mean, you still got to work for the fish, like they're moving around, but it just makes the process of finding fish easier, basically, for sure. I mean, I think even more in a boat than anything, for sure, on the ice, especially with panfish. Walleyes are a little tougher through the ice. I think it's really irrelevant for walleyes through the ice because it seems to me that walleyes never really stop swimming. It's like they're constantly moving, if you know what I mean, I guess. But it just makes the process of finding fish quicker, And I think panfish are probably the most susceptible, especially in the winter, for sure, to getting like over-harvested and stuff. So they're going to have to play with, the limits and stuff. I've seen like some of these 5-fish limits coming in on some of these lakes now, which is good, like out towards Ottertail, Big Pine, stuff like that, which will help the lakes for sure because you got 3-4 guides out there whacking on fish every day. That's not gonna work out well for the lake in the end, I guess. It's not like I kill a lot of fish, but I'm on a 50,000 acre lake, that seemingly reloads like every day.
I'm not overly familiar with the walleye stocking program up there.
Yeah.
Are you in speed on how they manage that with walleyes?
I think they stock both on the west and east ends with the egg take that they get from the Pike Bay, so they're owned from the lake, I believe. But I think that's like they're stocking around, I think, 5 million per side fry, I believe.
Okay.
Every 2 years, or what is it? Odd number of years around here. Or?
I'm not up to speed on it. I can speak to it.
But right now they say the numbers are as good as they've ever been. So the biggest, I think that's another thing. It's like, I don't know, the stocking is probably going to become really, really important to stock. The DNR needs to maybe stock more fish as we advance down the line and technology becomes greater and greater. Like I said, I don't know how much better it can get at this point, besides it telling you that that's a walleye swimming over there or a muskie or whatever.
Identify the species. And
at that point, you got to draw the line, in my opinion. That's where I would say,
is it fishing?
Is it fishing anymore? I mean, people could argue it's not fishing anymore now, but I think it's cool. I adapt it to it, I guess. And I mean, it basically is taking different populations of fish that before were, not really getting fished for, and I'm pretty proficient with it and being able to find fish in places I didn't even think fish would exist. On Vermilion especially, there's this pattern of fishing rocks up there, shallow, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 feet all year long, June through September.
It's amazing.
They don't, it's like, what... they're always there, and you drive if you were to try to side, you can't side image in boulder. This is like boulder piles, and you're not going to see the fish all that good. You're not going to see them on any kind of 2D. You can't get over the top of them, right?
Yep.
So here's a population of walleyes that I can see now and catch. It's pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can argue that it isn't like the coolest tech that has ever hit the. I mean, in terms of what it fundamentally changes fishing in that you can now know the unknown. You can see what's out there, and I think you just hit on a lot of good points. And what's tough for me is with this conversation is that the discussion seems to be like it's all or nothing. Like you can't have it. or, let's go for it. Let's just let tech, ride out wherever it rides out, where I think you're hitting a lot of these good points that, there's probably plenty of places where enjoy using this tech. It's probably not going to make an impact. You can learn a lot. This is great. And then there's other areas where we should probably say, whoa, hey, this is a usage modification that we need to look at. So on the musky side of things, as we were talking before, that I'm, not overly big on the sharpshooting, driving around, covering acres of water, to your point, cast 6 times at these big fish that, there's a number of reasons for it, but you want to go sit in your fish house and watch burbot swim through in down view. Like, dude, that's cool.
Sweet.
Yeah,
no, I understand. Like I'm at like in the people in my age range, I think some of them are oblivious to it. Like, no offense, but like maybe they don't see, like, you gotta, I feel like you have to take middle, you gotta sit back and listen to what people have to say on both sides, that'll help you form a better opinion on everything in your life, not just fishing. Like, it's helped me a lot,
Sure.
Don't have try to keep an open mind, I guess, would be the best way to put it.
Well, you're in the younger generation of people who, would you say that most people your age, and this is kind of how I want to frame the question, is that it seems like this argument is like young people love the technology, they use it. Old people don't know how to use it. They hate it. They want it to disappear. And then I've also seen, like, you're an experienced angler. So from what I've gathered is, like, you can be young and experienced and you go, oh, I can see issues with this tech where somebody who is more of an experience level to me with it than anything.
Yeah. I mean, like, but it's interesting, like, growing up, I fish a lot of like bass tournaments and stuff, and just being competitive at the age of like 16, 17, 18, fishing with my buddy Levi around Gull here and stuff. And we did well. We won some tournaments, took some top 5s and a few, whatever. But, now you're a lot of these 16, 17-year-old kids are jumping in a boat that's like, looks like a dang spaceship, and they have the technology do they know how to use it? I mean, it takes time. It's not like you just buy this thing and all of a sudden you're pounding fish with it. Like, it definitely is not that way. But, like, it's just, it makes, I think, I don't know how to word it. I guess it makes you good at it. It kind of takes not the feel away from fishing. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like, it's almost like I feel like a lot of times when I'm like looking down at it, then like I'm totally zoned out. And then I'm like, dang, holy cow! There's like an eagle there, and
it changes.
I love nature. Yeah. Kind of the experience is different, and how like the 16-year-old angler in 1960, 16-year-old angler, and depending on, what technology they can get their hands on now, it's just like the learning curve is short. I guess, right?
It is, and it's not only short because we just keep focusing on forward facing. Obviously, there's all kinds of tech with boats, motors, clothing, on and on.
Rods,
but then,
reels,
but also
incredible.
The way I want to hit on this because you're in this super cool crew of younger fish heads who just fish all the time. So you've got this information exchange network that is just, at blistering speed. So can you kind of expand on that, your crew of buddies that you run around with and how you guys chase down bites, how you're sharing information and that whole program?
Yeah, I mean, like, the first thing is, like, we just keep an open mind. We're not really necessarily after one species, especially in the wintertime, I guess, is when we're running around. It's like, we're just like constantly talking to each other, where it's buddies in Wisconsin, we got buddies in South Dakota, North Dakota, like, we get people everywhere that fish. And so we're constantly in contact with them and just trying to break down, where do we go next? What do we do? Even when I go out with Billy, I feel like I'm fishing a lot with Billy, but we're just like always keeping our ears open, as to like what's the hot bite. At usually early ice, we're fishing for like walleyes and stuff like that more. We were tiptoeing on Round Lake, Bill. I would probably drug you out there on 2 inches maybe, would you say? Or maybe 2.5, give it.
That's hardcore, man.
And we caught some beautiful we caught a couple, I don't know what they were, maybe 6-7 pound walleyes right away. Like, that's what gets the blood pumping for me. It's like just towing the line of, be safe. We wear our ice suits and picks and everything, but just getting out there and getting after it before anyone else, and just trying to stay ahead of these bites, The one thing I'm sad I didn't get up and get to fish Red Lake this year for those crappies, but that's going to probably got another year or two left before it gets really exposed.
Yeah, there's
but
a
right
lot of
now, it's
people
pretty good.
taking advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, and I don't understand how. I guess the perch limit on Mille Lacs is 5, but the crappie limit on Red is still 10.
And they're big, yeah.
Does that make sense to you? I don't know. I mean, maybe I guess I can't really touch on it. I'm not a biologist, but
that whole perch thing. This is kind of a sidetrack deal.
Did you fish for them this winter? A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
I mean,
we ran into you and Logan out there the one day.
We killed a few. They're delicious, and they got I feel like they're they're in the lake to be harvested. No, I mean they're pretty like quick growing. They're 4-year-old fish or something like that, right? I mean, what's the life cycle of a perch? I don't know how long do they live. I mean, that was it went from like there was a few jumbos to all of a sudden like wham. Or were they there for a couple of years?
Well, that's kind of one of the big question that I have too. I'm guessing obviously there's more big ones in there now than there was the last few years, but the tech really showed us that. I mean, I watched the video that you guys did with Sobe.
Yeah.
And it's like I was having a conversation with someone from DNR about this, and they're saying, do you think forward-facing sonar really had any type of an impact on catching perch out there? And I was like, you should watch this video because this is
you gotta have it.
So tell us what that program was that you guys were doing.
Yeah, so we were fishing just like around the north end of the lake from let's just say like Malmo or Hunters over to like almost Garrison, up in there on the edges of the main breaks and out to the mud flats basically. And we actually went out there the first day with Billy and who else were we with, Bill? I can't remember. One other gentleman. And we're looking around, and I think we drilled like maybe 12 holes, and we're using forward facing, and all of a sudden, like I see on the bottom these little blips, like 15 of them in a row. I would look at it and say, well, we got to drill on this, And I remember looking at the live scope. They went over there and drilled on top of these fish and dropped a bait down, and here they come like this, like 6 or 8 of them, and they're big, And we caught, and then we kind of are working around this area. Oh, there's 15 more. Oh, there's 20, and we're able to actually drill right on top of their heads, So is it useful? Absolutely. I wouldn't go out there without it for sure. But perch don't stay under you especially if you don't have baits down. They like to hang around when you got baits down. But live scope on Mille Lacs for the perch, very, very crucial in my opinion for.
Well, and then you watch the system that you guys have that was just so dialed. So it's like you've got somebody that is on the scope, and then it's like, okay, somebody's going over here with a couple sticks and a flasher, and then so you're directing traffic, saying, "Yep, drill, 50 feet, yep, couple more feet that way, this way, drill, drop." One guy goes, hooks up, the other guy drops. So you see what I mean? All of a sudden, there's 3 guys fishing out of one hole, catching a pile of fish because you knew that the fish are right there.
Yeah, definitely. But again, it's not like it actually takes a little bit of time, to dial in or they're 50 foot away. Like what's 50 feet, and a lot of times we would drill on them and you see the auger come through on the live scope and it's like, oh, they moved, they're 10 feet over here. All of a sudden we've wasted a whole battery on the auger because we drilled maybe just as many holes as we did before prior to live scope, like in these basins and stuff, just like trying to chase them around, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, that's one thing with crappies too, that we have seen, I'm not sorry to cut you off there, but
no, you're good.
Like how many times have you been crappie fishing with the flasher back in the day? You go to the basin, this looks good. And like you would swing your transducer hoping you're there. But now with forward facing, it could have been like, you could have been drilling on top of crappies the whole time, but as soon as your auger broke through, like they just scooted out of transducer range, and now it's like, oh yeah, they're actually here. We just couldn't see them before.
Yeah, and I guess like with just going off of this, like what's going to become important? Like I'm somebody who likes to fish new water, and there's a lot of tools that to find new water, DNR, OnX, whatever. As the technology advances, it's going to become even more important to hunt out your own like water and try to get away from people. Wouldn't you agree? Like to a certain extent, because things are going to get exposed quicker than than they have in the past, right? So like something I'm going to try to do is moving forward, I guess, is continue to fish new lakes and don't go back to the same bite over and over. Maybe mille lacs for a few harvests, but that's too much fun.
Perch,
but yeah, just like, I mean, just the whole like finding new water and hunting down. I love it. It's like what gets my blood going. For sure.
I'm the same way. I mean, finding new bites, like exploring new stuff is such an awesome deal. And while we're on the subject of tech, I mean, you hit on Onyx, and that is just a great resource to have if people aren't familiar with it. Onyx has a fish app. So you can not only, like, let's say we're here in Minnesota, look at the lake finder data is there. Yeah. If you're ice fishing, you can see land ownership, know that you could access maybe here through a public source. But then also you're in the middle of the sticks, and you're like, oh, let's go check out this lake. You push a button, and then Apple CarPlay, drives you right there. So finding and getting on fish, obviously forward-facing sonar plays a role in this, but it is just the way we can get information, the ease of it, and the fishing pressure is just a lot more intelligent. So definitely think it's important for people to be mindful of what this cumulative effect of technology is going to be on fisheries. Be selective in harvesting fish and not going in and
no doubt
just taking everything you can, because it's a finite resource.
Yeah. And and I like what I do is I sit up on the DNR Lake Finder at night and just like I'll find myself scrolling for 4 hours, and on an iPhone you can see your pages. And like I remember one night looking back at like 97 pages. Because you go down the wormhole and you're just like looking at lakes and surveys, and I'm looking for bass, crop, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like it's just incredible because a lot of these surveys go back to the 90s. It's like the interesting thing, like we could just bring this up, but these lakes I grew up on fishing around, like the West Metro, had all these great big white crappies in them, and a lot of these lakes are like void of them now. It's like they died off. It's like they're gone. You can look in surveys and it reflects it as well. It's like 2012 there was 20 they netted. 2016 there was 10. 2019 there was 2. All of a sudden they're gone, and I'm not catching them either. Explain to me that. I don't understand that at all. But there's this like a weird thing. White crappies is like the outlier.
That is crazy.
Have you ever heard of that? I mean,
no, I'm not familiar with that. Yeah. Huh.
But this one behind me right here is a hybrid that I caught. And so in order to grow the giant ones, I think you got to have both white crappies and black crappies in a lake for sure. But
I've never done that trophy hunting like you guys do, where you're like going for the 16 plus inch fish like that. And everybody I've talked to who's done it is like they're hybrids, they're black white.
Yeah,
right?
They got. I mean, to a certain extent, I don't know like genetically what that looks like. 50-50, 60. I don't really know.
Sure.
Got to have both in the lake. But weird thing with the white crappies. It's like I don't know. A lot of them like disappeared, but some lakes have them and they've reappeared. In other lakes, like all of a sudden I didn't catch them for 5-6 years. All of a sudden I'm catching them now. It's like I don't really know how that cycles like that. But
sure,
it seems like the black crappies are always there. It's kind of a weird one, but.
Yeah, that's the one nice thing about crappies is the whole black crappies is that they do get cropped down and they make their way back. They show up again in the future, which bluegills don't necessarily do. Don't do that.
Nope.
So that is the one thing crappies have going in their favor. Let's switch gears a little bit. The other day, you guys came in, and of course you had all these high-end, cool, specialized bass baits. You have cool, fuzzy, like you're in that age, and what you're doing where you're trying to consume as much content as you can. You're getting all the hottest, cool new stuff. So what do you got lined up for this year for new baits? You're like, oh man, that is so
I got it. My friend Aaron Teal has a podcast called The Bass Galaxy too. It's pretty cool. If you want like bass fishing, just check it out. He's actually, he deals a little bit with JDM baits and stuff like that, so he's got his hands on some. And it was just been over to his house a few times looking through his tackle. He's got all this tackle, and he's just explaining to me all this stuff about these baits and, a lot of the forward-facing kind of stuff. The depths, Sakamata Shad came on hard these last few years on the Elite Series and some of these major bass tournaments, so I had to get my hands on some of them. The dice, obviously, for smallmouths. This is a lot regarding just mostly bass baits, by the way.
Sure.
when I have free time on Vermilion and go out and throw them. But I think there's one called the Dick and Balls, which is like it literally looks like what it is, I guess. That one looks like it would catch, you know. It's amazing, just some of the different shapes, and it's amazing, and the names too. It's like some of the names of these you would think are like I don't know, like sex toys, really, to be quite honest with you. Just incredible.
I wonder if Mike's naming all these back there. He's just back there laughing his ass off.
But no, there's some cool. There's cool stuff, and there's a lot of like it's really a different material. Some of it's like soft, some of it's like really hard material.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting off track here.
Yeah. No, but no, it's cool. Like just I want to play around with it, and got a lot of like little finesse crankbaits, little tiny little jigs. I mean, it's just incredible. I got a whole box from Teal of just I can't even tell you the names of this. I got
just cool
stuff.
Right.
And we use with the live scope. You know, a lot of it's like to be used with that forward facing sonar. So I want to get good with. You know, I think I'm decent with walleyes with it, but I want to get better with like smallmouth. You know, with it as well. And I think Vermilion's a good place where there's a lot of different habitat that smallmouth live on, and you know, they can be gamers with it. It seems like
sure
they can really like to play with it, your baits, and chase them around, and hopefully I can get good with it in that way, because it seems like it's starting to take a hold here in the north a little bit more. But yeah,
it's cool. It's always fun to play with new baits, and it's just an endless array of new stuff. It's not like getting the Cabela's or Bass Pro catalog anymore.
Yeah.
Seeing what's new. It's like, trying to even keep track of all the cool new stuff is just unbelievable. Because so many manufacturers are making so many cool things.
There is, but one thing that I think LiveScope's done is really simplified things, right?
Agreed,
to a certain extent, it's like, here I am with a jig and crawler again, like, cool, like, sweet, and they really bite it. Holy cow. Like, if I can land it right on their head, you know, they bite it. But I think it's actually going backwards. Have you seen that, or do you?
I would definitely say that. Yeah, that definitely
like
seems
a bobber
to be the
again.
case. Right. You just have collected all these different baits for, you know, this is a better mousetrap for this situation, or, you know, fishing here, there, and where all of a sudden, if you can just focus on fish that are visible on your screen, jig and crawler, slip bobber and a leech, just whatever, jig and minnow profile. Like, all of a sudden, you just need a handful of baits. You don't need smiley blades. You don't need big thumper Colorado blades. You're not doing slow. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I need them, but yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It really changes if you're just focused on catching, and there's so many different. To me, it seems like a lot of the techniques are not nearly as effective, especially, you know, walleyes, when you're pulling baits over fish in a lot of environments too. Like, you got to be away from the boat. Like, fishing below you is like a thing of the past in many places, it seems.
Yeah, and like, I mean, this would segment into, like, you know, I'm not a big troller, but like on Vermilion, I did do some lead core trolling and snap weights a little bit too. And I've seen like boats out there with downriggers have success, which is incredible. Obviously, you see that more on like the Great Lakes, Lake of the Woods, places like that. But it's definitely helped me helped me from that angle, like of just like learning how to be a better troller, I guess would be the word for it. How much lead line, you know, what pound lead line, what pound leader, what kind of crankbaits, just dialing it in. And first year I probably did it 20 times, last year 10, so I could see the progression of that getting, you know, less and less. But it's really an effective way to comb water, and I still point the live scope out in front of the boat to see if I'm going into fish and stuff like that. But just an effective way to basically, I call it mowing the grass. I mean, you get on these deep water, you know, mud flats or what have you, like deeper sand to a certain extent, and just go back and forth like you're mowing grass, you know, and you find that one pass, and it seems like you can just go and milk them all day long. It's effective up there, man, you know, and I think a lot of it has to do with the water color as well. It's a little darker. I mean, they'll eat crankbaits in the middle of the day in July, whereas like lakes around here, I feel like you'd maybe be hard-pressed to get them to do that, you know.
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of bites where that, you know, lead lining and just open water trolling is an effective deal. And I like doing it, just to me, there's a lot of technical aspects to it too. You mentioned snap weights, like when we go on lake trout trips all the time, we're playing with snap weights. So we might have anything from 3 ounces going all the way up to, a pound or more to change things. But then, you realize that snap weights are different than a downrigger. That's different than lead line, and then obviously you get into the Great Lake stuff and you're talking copper, and then you've got your whole, board dynamic if you want to get into that kind of stuff. So it's a really, if you want to get into it, it can be really technical and a fun thing to just try to learn how to master.
I wish I was better at. I want to master it. I think it's super cool. Like the people that know how to do it or knew how to do it, were successful. Like especially like I'm thinking national walleye fishing profession, the National Walleye Tour, or whatever, like in the 2010s and stuff, or even 2000 and stuff, like that was a big thing, right? I mean, like the guys that were really good and won major tournaments like trolled. And now unfortunately it's a screen show, but it is what it is. Like take it how you can get it, I guess. But all of a sudden they're catching these fish that otherwise, are out in the middle of Lake Erie, like in 7-foot rollers, like casting at these fish somehow. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, actually.
It is, yeah.
Trolling's become kind of obsolete, I guess, in the tournament world,
For the high-end super user, competitive angler, yeah, for sure. Not that it isn't deadly effective.
It's deadly effective, absolutely. But like, can you win with it anymore? I'm sure certain places, but yeah. And I don't know. I'm not trying to point out like negative things about live scope, but I'm just pointing out an observations with it as well. I don't want people to think, like I said, I'm very neutral on this, man.
Well, I think it's cool to just get your take on somebody who is fishing 300 plus days a year,
absolutely.
Uses the technology all the time, has a sense of, and that's important that you have a real sense of how it's used, where you think it can benefit, where you think there's issues associated with it. So I mean, those are the conversations that need to be happening right now, and be good informed decisions with people who are out there doing it, seeing it. I mean, could you say that you've seen any fisheries like you're like, live scope really got the best of this one? Or
I can't say that yet. No, I really can't. Not at this point. Has it made the fishing harder? Absolutely, for sure. Like, can you tell the fish but it's just like, I don't know. It's like anything. It's like the jig and wrap was so good 10 years ago. Now it's like I'm chucking it at these fish, and it's like they're not eating it. Like, I don't know. Guys are throwing a bobber on these Gull Lake walleyes, and now all of a sudden they're coming up to it and then swimming back down. So it's like we just got. I mean, I don't know. It's just going to make things. I don't know if it's like. I actually think less fish are going to, depending on the lakes, less fish are going to get caught coming up here.
The dumb ones are gone.
Because the dumb ones are gone. Now on a Vermilion or a Lake of the Woods or whatever, it's like unlimited, right? It's like you could go 10 miles one way, and you're on like new water, and you might be fishing for fish that. I mean, it's amazing. Like if you look at some of those stringers from those Lake of the Woods tournaments in end of August, September. These guys are obviously casting with forward facing out in the basin of Lake of the Woods, and it's a catch weigh release tournament, which I like a lot for the walleye tournaments. But their 5-fish stringers are like 50 to 55 pounds.
It's insanity.
I mean, like unbelievable. That's crazy, man.
That's crazy. Yep.
And they're doing it like casting, which is cool. I think it's super cool, but. I mean, there's a lake that was dominated by lead core. Yep. By downriggers, and the tables have turned, and that's that's as big of a lake as you can get, right? Yeah, Big Traverse is just immense, and that's where it's happening at, right? Yeah. On the big water. Just like total. And then I don't know, I'm not familiar with the Lake of the Woods in the Canadian side. I don't know if you fished it and stuff, but seems like there's a lot of traditional muskie fishing going on still up there, like just kind of casting, things like that. I don't know if there's a lot of open water stuff up there, but I'm sure. I mean, is there sections of deep water up on that side? I mean, what does it look like? Looks like, you look at it on a map, I'm like, where? Wow. Yeah, the Canadian fisheries up there are just insane. They're so amazing, beautiful. And yeah, obviously there's fish that suspend all the time up there, So it's not maybe it's not like
It's not like Vermilion in terms of pressure,
Yeah,
these other lakes that just get the tons and tons of scoping pressure from muskies. But it's likely coming, so they're pretty easy they're not hard to find. They're not hard to see out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, but going back, I really think I don't necessarily, I really truly believe on a lot of the lakes that I fish, excluding Vermilion, it's just going to be harder to catch them. That's all there is to it. And so we're going to have to evolve in the techniques and stuff, But I really think, I believe truly less fish are going to get caught. I just don't see how more fish are going to get caught. I've noticed it getting harder. Does that make sense, I guess?
Yeah, and you're a guy that's dialed, so what does that, I guess then you have to look at what does that mean to this average angler who doesn't have,
Well, in a sense, I think they're getting almost priced out. They're getting knocked out, and you know what I mean? It's like, at what point do you draw the line? It's like, yeah, I mean, I just spent a fortune on my setup, It's like maybe somebody that doesn't have that. It's tough, it's just making things tougher, I guess. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess the more I talk, it's like, dang, wow,
dang.
I'm convincing myself it's definitely, I don't know. Like I said, I'm really neutral, but I like to stay out of the curve, and I have to use this stuff, and yeah.
I have a question for Hayes.
Fire away, man.
I heard a rumor that you're really a good golfer, really good.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
So what is now that you're fishing 300 days a year, what has it done for your golf game?
My golf game is not great, although I did shoot a 75 at the quarry last year after not playing for 5 months, which was unbelievable. One of the best rounds I've had in 10 years. But I played the other day down at Baker National and shot a 45 for 9 holes, so with an eagle and 5 doubles. So I couldn't figure it out. But yeah, I played golf in high school, and actually my grandpa was a golf pro at Lafayette Club on Lake Minnetonka and Crystal Bay there. So threw buzzbait off the driving range and caught bass, and then golfed. And so that was cool. Out by Vermilion, there's some incredible courses. Giants Ridge and Fortune Bay are 2 beautiful courses. Giants Ridge is one of the best public courses in the state that you can play. But
well, if you get your limit of walleyes in the morning, you can go golfing in the afternoon.
That's what a lot of my customers do. They're up there for have a couple of drinks and on the course and enjoy the day, and then go out in the afternoon, jump in the boat with me, and catch a limit of walleyes and fry them up for dinner.
Sounds like a pretty nice day.
Yeah,
nice, relaxing day.
Yeah, I mean, come on up and enjoy it, because it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It is a good time up there for sure.
All right, we're headed to the river. Hell yeah.
All right, we're doing it. Going fishing.
You guys are always filming stuff, whether you're running around with Bill or Sobey, or you've kind of got this crew of guys. So tell me what it's like to be YouTube generation, filming all of these experiences. Just walk me through that whole process.
Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it than what you would see. Right at the end, you just see this 20-minute video, but I can't tell you how many times we go out and frickin' fail. We do not catch them, but it's fun. I think Sobey specifically just loves it to death, and he loves to fish as much as me, for sure. And that's important. You gotta. It cannot be just like a hobby. It's gotta be like a lifestyle, really.
Yep. And you guys are GoPro and everything, iPhone.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's part of it, though. I actually love that. That's what keeps me coming back, to be quite honest with you. This is the grind. Mm-hmm. I love the grind of it, I guess.
Well, you're always learning stuff too, right? I mean,
those
are the things in fishing that, you do learn to appreciate. When you get your ass handed to you, you're like, okay, where'd I screw up? How do I figure this deal out? And that's the whole point.
Yeah. But I even think when you're having a success, especially on Lake Vermilion, it's such a massive body of water, and there's so much going on. I'm learning something new every hour that I'm out there. It's like, wow, it's just this total overload of information and just everything that's going on, just in what I'm seeing and how it changes day to day with the weather and the season and the species you're going for. It's just incredible. East to west, each bay, how different everyone is, but how similar they are to patterns. I could run a pattern in head of the Lakes Bay and then go all the way to Armstrong Bay and catch fish doing the same thing. I mean, it's super cool, and I think I encourage everybody listening to this to just go up there and fish, because it's just you'd say it's like a Canadian Shield style lake to a certain extent. Like, go up there and experience, like, I don't know, kind of wilderness fishing to a certain extent, like without leaving the state of Minnesota, right?
Yes,
Would be
yeah.
the thing, you know.
It's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm in love with the Canadian Shield.
Yeah.
I love Lake Vermilion, and it's like you said, experience the wilderness, and the habitat's so cool, and you can just see with your eyes, like,
Yeah, it's
oh, what's that over there? Let's go try that. Let's go try this, you know. And it just, and it never ends. The habitat just goes, and the fishing's good, and it's like,
yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's an incredible place. And like I said, I knew like basically nothing about it when I got there. And coming on my 3rd season here, I'm gonna learn just as much as I did the first year. Again, it's like pretty cool. It's endless, almost 50,000 acres, and you can fish how you want, catch them how you want. Yeah, I guess this is my advertisement to go up there and fish.
Yeah.
Come fish with me, fish by yourself, whatever. Like, go up there and check it out. Like, it's sweet. I didn't think I'd love it as much as I do, I guess.
Well, great. Yeah, it's hard not to love. Before we wrap this up, I've got one more question that I want you to dive into a little bit, and that's night fishing for walleye. I know you do a fair bit of that, and kind of walk through your setup, casting, trolling. You have anything special in your boat for it? You know, just the whole deal.
So I'm not like a super experienced troller, right? I mean, I got some lead core rod and stuff, but a lot of the trolling we do is flat line trolling with a spinning rod with a 10-pound braid to a snap swivel, a lot of stick baits. Shadow wraps are one of my favorites, just regular shadow wraps, the shallow. I think they go 2 to 4 feet or something like that. That's a really good bait to troll, original floaters. Any kind of stick baits in the spring and fall when the water's colder. And then as we progress into the midsummer and stuff, trolling more shad wrap style baits, a little bit quicker as well. So we're going slower around this opening weekend on Gull. We do a little bit of flatline trolling. We're going running that 1.2 to 1.6. Slow rolling those kind of stick baits over some of the flats out there, and even on Vermilion, same kind of thing. Just pulling stick baits at night is really, you know, Vermilion's got a lot of stain to the water, so a lot of people probably think maybe there's not as good of a night bite going on there, but I can assure you, especially in spring and fall when the water seems to be a little bit clearer as well, there's a heck of a night bite.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah,
Luke
and I have done it. It's like really, really good.
Yeah,
really good.
yeah. And then as far as casting, I love a rip and wrap. It's really hard to beat a number 6 rip and wrap. That's what I'll be locked in my
so
hand.
are
and
you
opener.
jigging it or just straight retrieve, or how you
Throw it out, and then you're just literally pulling it, and you're feeling that bait just vibrate a little bit. I'm sure it's coming up off the bottom 6 inches, 8 inches. Like, I'm working it super slow to a point almost like dragging it. People look at me and they're like, you know, you think
like a jig.
Yeah, you think like a rip and wrap or a jig and wrap, you got to rip it. And I think in colder water, it's just not the case, you know. I think there's something to be said in midsummer if you were throwing it, although I wouldn't, to rip it more. Or, you know, I just don't think the fish are as active. Something about it pisses them off on Gull Lake, though. It's a freaking really good bait, I guess. And I love blue chrome, any kind of sort of natural colors. We throw that a lot. Throw it up in the sand, and yeah, we're just pulling it. More than anything, just kind of pulling it. Like fishing it real slow. Almost like, like
and
a
they're
jig.
eating it on the
And they're eating it. You rip it, and they eat it when it's dropping. You know, they pick it up off the bottom. And it is, like, phenomenal bait. Like, one of the best. And then the fall is very similar. I feel like night fishing in fall is very similar to the spring when kind of transition back to those stick bait style, you know. Seems like in the fall they can eat bigger stuff, too. I mean, like, what is the 13 original floaters? Those
13s,
big
18s,
BX minnows,
yeah,
they're like
BX swimmers are amazing.
stuff like that, just bigger stuff, I guess. They like to eat.
16 inchers eat those too.
Have you seen that? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like these little walleyes are just mowing down big baits, you know?
Yeah. Appreciate you coming in, sharing your insights. It's been pretty cool to see your passion in fishing and how you've dedicated to it. And it's awesome you took the time to do this today.
Yeah.
Behind you, we've got a little fresco. Maybe you can put this on the back of your truck window, but it's these magnetic tiles that they're pretty cool, easy to replace. So got you one of those, and then well, thanks again, Hayes. If you are watching this on television, you can check out the long version on YouTube and also listen to the Angling Edge Buzz wherever you hear your podcasts. Thanks for watching.